So this is relative time. It began as a question on the Facebook group, or an inquiry about real-time time stretching. And I sort of thought, well, that can't be done, because time moves at one rate. And certainly time compression, speeding up time, can't happen. But I started digging around and thinking about my patch Deep Time and how I achieved time stretching with that patch. And that uses a looper and a granular module to offset the changes in speed in one another. So as the looper slows down, the granular module speeds up, and vice versa, which allows for time stretching. Here I couldn't use a looper. Looper doesn't operate in real time or anything close to it. Here I used a pitch shifter into a couple of granular modules that alternate. And originally I set this up for the granular modules to go into the pitch shifter, which produced something, if you're interested in exploring this idea more, that was more akin to what I would describe as real-time time pitching. It also sounded terrible. I mean, I'm sure there's someone who would listen to it and find some way to use it. But I found this sound with the pitch shifters going into the granular modules much more musical. And in particular, it produces things I didn't expect it to produce, like a really nice chorus. Without being a terribly obtrusive chorus. It's sort of like an anti-chorus, or a nice detune. As you stretch time out more, which isn't really stretching time out at all, but you get more into like a modulated reverb. There's no reverb in this patch, no reverb module. And then it gets a little bit more glitchy. But also, again, like a nice atmospheric reverb. There's a feedback control, which also works kind of like a depth or a decay in this particular case. Then as you push it even further, you get these, I don't know, like mechanical delayed sounds that also I think are pretty interesting. As you compress time, again, you get some interesting modulation. Turn down the feedback. And then you get into sort of bit crush territory, which also I think sounds pretty nice. So there's not a whole lot to this patch. The foot switches don't do anything. There's high dampening, which is a low pass filter. That's in the feedback loop, so sounds will get progressively darker and less obtrusive. After the feedback loop, there's a high pass filter because it can get pretty boomy, particularly when you have the feedback set low. And that's it. Mix control, feedback, but it does a bunch of interesting, pleasant, beautiful sounds that, particularly I think the chorus and the modulated reverb stuff I didn't expect to find when I started working on this patch, and I think they're really lovely and different. So check it out.